Why do artworks command such high prices, frequently reaching tens or even hundreds of millions? Furthermore, many of these pieces do not seem to provide the same tangible aesthetic experience as classic paintings, films, or music. How are they sold at these exorbitant prices? Does a high price truly equate to good art? If we cannot ascertain the reasons behind this, our very understanding of art risks becoming confused and disrupted. To understand this phenomenon, we must go to the place where these financial miracles happen directly, the auction house. The auction market is a social ecosystem comprised of multiple participating interest groups. The roles within this system can be broadly divided into three categories. First is the auction house. It is the stage setter, the rule maker, and the director of the drama. Within it, the auctioneer and the expert play crucial roles. The auctioneer is the lead actor and psychologist on stage. He utilizes rhythm, gaze, and linguistic techniques to create desire and competition among bidders, precisely reading their psychological state. The analyst is the behind-the-scenes hunter, armed with a set of commercial benchmarks, who coolly judges a work's sellability. They are responsible for securing scarce, high-quality consignments from collectors. Next are the various collectors. They are the audience, or participants. Their motivations are highly diversified. This group includes investors, observers, social participants, and others. Finally, there are the various peripheral groups, or the intermediaries. This includes art consultants, dealers, gallerists, artists, media, info brokers, and so on. From the accounts of these diverse individuals, we can piece together a rich and vivid picture of the art auction scene. Christopher Burge is Christie's chief auctioneer. He likens the sale room to a Roman Colosseum. The audience below hopes for the competition to be as fierce and bloody as possible. They are eager to applaud and scream, craving the heart-pounding thrill brought by one unbelievable record price after another. Or, he says, they want a total disaster, lots of blood, with constant buy-ins, so they can yell, drag him off. People only see Burge's infectious energy on the rostrum, yet before the sale begins, he is always extremely nervous. He rehearses constantly, going through all the possibilities of what might happen, to the point of driving myself mad. However, he is more astute than the audience because he holds a secret weapon, a highly detailed auctioneer's book. This book meticulously notes everyone's seating, who is expected to bid, their bidding style, whether aggressive or a bottom feeder, and the seller's secret reserve price, among other details. Burge is exceptionally experienced and can see through a bidder's pretense. About 2 lots before someone bids, he notes, they will start doing small things, such as, people will sit up straighter in their seats, they adjust their jacket, begin to look a little nervous. During the bidding, sometimes they shake their head to say no. An inexperienced auctioneer will take them at their word, but an old hand knows that this collector has really got another bid in them. He can feel that they are still wavering. Philippe Segalot is a top-tier art consultant. He did not formally study art and previously worked in the marketing department at L'Oréal. He believes cosmetics and art are actually very similar, as both deal with beauty, unnecessary things, and abstractions. Segalot serves billionaires like Christie's owner François Pinault, and his operational style is filled with a confidence and even a macho conqueror's spirit. He describes the act of purchasing at auction as an extremely satisfying, macho act. This confidence allows him to fully unleash his buying impulses without inhibition. He will bluntly warn his clients, "Give me a bid, but be prepared for me to exceed it." He even admits to having spent twice as much as agreed on major purchases, causing him to be anxious to speak with the collector afterward. He rationalizes this near-gambling behavior and, in turn, uses it to construct his client's belief. He tells his clients, "The most expensive purchases, the purchases where you suffer the most, will turn out to be the best ones." He believes it is precisely this competitive, suffering, and financial stretch that imbues art with desire and value. This powerful conviction comes from his absolute defense of his own gut instinct. To protect this instinct from interference, he actively blocks out all external noise, especially art criticism. He declares, "I never read about art, and I get all the art magazines, but I don't read them, for the simple reason, I don't want to be influenced by the reviews." Segalot's zealous nature is highly infectious. In a market that relies on collective belief to function, those inconsequential magazine analyses are indeed insignificant compared to Segalot's proactive ability to construct that belief. David Tiger is a New York collector in his late 70s. He does not follow market trends. Instead, he relies on his own unique eye and independent judgment. He disdains the pack mentality at auctions and prides himself on his independence. For him, the auction is a place to gather market intelligence and observe trends, not a place to follow them. When asked what period he collects, he jokes, "This morning's," meaning he purchases works by young artists. His confidence stems from his illustrious collecting history. As early as 1963, he purchased an Andy Warhol work from a gallery exhibition for only $720. Today, however, a Warhol work can be valued at $10 million. Jack and Juliet are a married couple and die-hard fans of the auctions. In their 40s with no children, they fly to New York specifically for the auction weeks every May and November, staying at the Four Seasons with a fully packed schedule. Juliet's perspective on the auction is romantic, emotional, and social. She describes the auction as an opera, one filled with ritual and complex social dynamics. When asked why contemporary art is so popular, she replies, "More and more people are understanding that art can enrich their lives." Jack's perspective on the auction is practical, commercial, and evaluative. Jack works in stocks and real estate. As for why art is so popular, he believes it is because art is a way to have a diversified investment portfolio. He states bluntly, "The return on cash is so low. That's why the art market is so strong." He has a sober understanding of the market's risks. He gives an example, saying that if some idiot starts a rumor that a painting is damaged, it could be $500,000 off the price instantly. Regarding selling their own collection, Jack's feelings are also pragmatic. He feels that a private sale involves less exposure, which would make him more comfortable. But he also feels a bit conflicted, suspecting that we could have gotten more for it at auction. Amy Capolazzo is the co-head of Christie's post-war and contemporary art department, and she represents the sober, pragmatic, and extremely commercial side of the auction house. The auction does not make her nervous, because she has already spent about 80% of her time getting great things for sale, and only 20% placing them. Therefore, her work is almost all done before the sale begins. Capolazzo frankly shares what types of art are most popular at auction. Brown paintings don't sell as well as blue or red ones. A glum painting won't do as well as a happy one. A male nude is generally not as popular as a buxom female. Works that are too large, anything bigger than a standard elevator, will usually rule out a certain segment of the market of buyers. She also makes it clear that these are just basic commercial benchmarks. They have nothing to do with artistic merit. As for why the art market is so hot, she says, after you have 4 large homes and a private jet, what else can you desire? Art is extremely enriching, so artworks naturally become the ultimate consumer good for the billionaire class. Moreover, she believes art is more like real estate than stocks. Josh Baer is an info broker in the art world. He runs a highly influential email newsletter within the art world, The Baer Facts, which specializes in reporting inside information such as who bought what at auction and who was the underbidder. He is able to do this because he is an insider himself. His mother was a well-regarded minimalist artist, and he ran his own gallery for 10 years. He tells us that collectors sell their collections primarily because of death, debt, divorce, and dealing. Baer holds a critical attitude toward the auction frenzy. He believes that people trust in art because they are convinced of its liquidity. That is, when you want to sell an artwork, you can simply take it to auction and sell it. However, this liquidity is merely an illusion of liquidity. A lot of the hot artists of today, he warns, are going to be worth zero in 10 years. You should look back at old auction catalogs. People have very short memories. Honor James was a person who should not have been at an auction. She was there only because her father had passed away. As the executor of the will, she was required to liquidate her parents' $100 million art collection and donate all proceeds to a local community foundation. Although her parents were active members of the Museum of Modern Art, they were very discreet. She grew up surrounded by these paintings, but had no idea they were famous or valuable. For her, selling these artworks was like watching your kids leave home. She felt a huge personal sense of loss. She looked at the people in the sale room, denouncing this world where she felt so out of place. She said, "When you think about the good this money could do, not a single person in that sales room is thinking about that." Keith Tyson is a British artist and Turner Prize winner. He frankly admits that he knows it's a huge social faux pas for an artist to go to an auction, but adds, "I don't give a shit." The reason he came is simple. He wanted to see what the phenomenon was all about, and he is interested in the economics. Unlike other artists, he is not worried about his purity being contaminated by coming to such a vulgar place. However, he has to admit that the auction is extremely infectious. He found his own emotions stirred unconsciously, wanting to join the bidding. He is not opposed to the art market. On the contrary, he says, it's an elegant Darwinian system. He argues that collectors are actually buying futures options on the cultural significance of a work. Yet, in the ultimate sense, art cannot be reduced to a commodity. Unlike gold and diamonds, art has another value. Art is trying to sell you yourself. That's the difference. Art is what makes life worth living. An unnamed insider revealed that top-echelon players who own a lot of Warhol's work are willing to overbid in order to keep up the overall value of their holdings. This is blatant market manipulation. However, some defend it. It's not manipulation. It's more like unconditional support. A London dealer who wishes he could avoid the auctions explained, "Between you and me, everyone is so full of shit. The people are all running after each other. The chat is full of subterfuge and sleazy art world stories. It's like a tableau vivant of pretentious greed. You walk in, and everyone's so happy and how are you, when all they want to do is screw you." These diverse characters and viewpoints all stem from the interviews of Sarah Thornton. She wrote the book 7 Days in the Art World from an anthropological perspective, and its day one is a vivid depiction of how the auction operates. The following are the conclusions I have drawn from the book. The value of an artwork is not discovered. It is manufactured and validated through a sophisticated set of mechanisms. In this process, the commercial value of the artwork overwhelms its aesthetic value. The truly top-tier wealthy are perhaps fulfilling their own psychological and social needs. The crumbs they drop are enough for those below them to scramble for and devour. Collectors and dealers who are not at the very top see art as a form of investment. Some of the newly wealthy also treat entry into this scene as a form of validation for their own status. This entire game is only able to function because of the illusion of liquidity. The auction house provides a stage that makes people believe the collections they hold can be brought to auction and liquidated at any time, and so many join the game with confidence. As more people play, the supply of available works for trading becomes insufficient. Because antiques and works by deceased masters are often permanently collected, people turn to emerging artists and newly created works. In theory, their supply is unlimited. These emerging artists are adept at building their own brand attributes, hoping to get enough exposure to, in turn, acquire so-called cultural value. At the same time, a work's provenance, having been owned by a top-tier collector, also adds value to the piece, like stamping it with a seal of validation. However, this market is not entirely free or transparent. The information in magazines and the performances on stage are all full of enticement and agitation. And the players with the most capital are often able to manipulate the market and influence prices. Ultimately, everything is built upon collective belief. And the auction is the stage where this collective belief is publicly validated and quantified. I am Chris. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.